Is it a smear campaign if it's true? Is it a lie if multiple sources corroborate it? Is the UK out to get you, or were they simply reporting facts now echoed in the US? Is it racism, or are you just a bully? These are the questions I have for Meghan Markle in her latest scandal of the bullying allegations, which are like a hurricane, only gaining power as they move across the pond. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and I'm here to break down everything there is to know about the story of Meghan Markle being a bully. We'll cover the origins of this tale, which emerged in 2021 just before the Oprah interview. Then we'll dive into the explosive revelations recently uncovered by The Hollywood Reporter. And the best part, we'll look at Meghan's response to these allegations, a comeback so outlandish it's practically a comedy show itself. And for the grand finale, the DailyBeast's rebuttal, even more scathing than what The Hollywood Reporter had to say. Of course, we have to discuss their professional separation, with Harry's solo rebrand, while Meghan makes an awkward appearance at the Children's Hospital Gala along with her latest appearance, where she says that she is one of the most bullied people in the world.
Poor you.
When I tell you she had me in tears because I was laughing as I read her rebuttal to being called a dictator in high heels, it went something like this.
Meghan is so nice, she noticed I had a pimple and sent me skincare products. All she does is make fruit baskets from her garden.
That's just so corny.
Let's just say that the more you try hard at pretending you're not one thing, the more it proves that you are exactly that very thing. The media isn't selling her out or feeding her to the wolves as she claims, but you know who is? Data brokers. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. You guys know I've been using Aura for months to protect me against data breaches in today's digital landscape where your private information is more vulnerable than ever. Dell recently experienced a breach exposing 3.9 million customer records. AT&T had 2 breaches, one affecting 2.5 million customers and another impacting 9 million. Ticketmaster also suffered a major breach compromising over 560 million records, but the worst was a national public data breach potentially affecting every American with 2.9 billion records containing sensitive information like addresses, phone numbers, and social security numbers being compromised. This is why I strongly recommend checking out Aura. It monitors your data, including your social security number, across billions of sources like the dark web and public records to help protect you from identity theft. Every week the app updates me on whether any data brokers have sold my information to scammers, hackers, or others who might want to target me, and within the day, I get all the updates I need. Using my 2-week free trial at aura.com/scandalousmedia, Aura will remove your data from these websites, show you which data brokers are selling your information, and automatically submit opt-out requests. Aura also offers up to $5 million in identity theft insurance as a backup. My personal email, which I blurred out here, was part of a data leak a few years ago where anything I signed up with got hacked. There was even a website with an entire document of everyone's email and main password associated with it, and to this day, I'm still getting updates about that breached email. My favorite Aura feature is the ability to add multiple emails to scan the dark web, which is helpful since I use several emails for personal and work reasons. Aura has already removed me from several sites like address search, and it's even cut down the spam texts and emails I receive. You can try Aura too by clicking the link in the description box or visiting aura.com/scandalousmedia for a 2-week free trial to clean up your digital footprints. Aura's other features include antivirus, VPN, password management, and more in one app at an affordable price. Check out aura.com/scandalousmedia to start your 2-week free trial, also linked in the description. And now, let's talk about issues that should be exposed, like workplace bullying. The media is not your friend, but it is your colleague. I was going to jump straight into The Hollywood Reporter's explosive story on Meghan, but I think that everyone watching this video, regardless of what story you believe, will highly benefit from this information. What I learned from my biology degree is that a symbiotic relationship is where both parties involved benefit from the interaction. This differs from a parasitic relationship, which some might argue describes Meghan and Harry's marriage. That said, celebrities and the media usually have a symbiotic relationship. However, there are rare cases like Britney Spears where the media preys on someone vulnerable who's often trying to escape them, yet they continue to follow her, waiting for her to crash. The media also preyed on Prince William, Catherine, and Harry during the phone hacking scandal. In this case, William was hacked 35 times, Catherine 155 times, and Harry, the complainer, 9 times. But if you are actively calling the paparazzi, inviting media to events, collaborating with them, giving exclusive stories, breaking news, and hiring publicists to ensure you're featured in puff pieces, To build your brand online, then guess what? That is a mutual relationship where the celebrity gets press and attention to promote themselves, and the media is given content to post for an audience where they monetize it either through ads or subscriptions, which most, if not all, media sites now have. So when Meghan invited Bianca Benacourt from Harper's Bazaar to come with her and Harry to Colombia to do a whole puff piece on her outfits, where she exclusively referred to her as Duchess Meghan in the articles posted, it was not some charitable gesture, it was work, it was paid PR. Similarly, when People magazine exclusively published staged photos of Meghan leaving a bookstore nearly 2 weeks after they were taken to coincide with the store's opening, Oprah's appearance, and notably after Catherine's cancer update. That too was paid PR. And guess what also falls under that category? Yup, you guessed it. The spread People magazine ran featuring Meghan's 5 friends defending her after the fallout with her father, a situation she seemingly orchestrated in hopes he'd release her letter. People magazine is actually known to do a lot of celebrity exclusives, whether that's breaking the news about celebrity relationships, announcing upcoming album releases, or even releasing exclusive wedding photos. People magazine is one of the go-tos, along with the likes of Us Weekly, E! News, and so on, who are a part of the celebrity's vanilla image. This type of media differs from more of the investigative journalism we see with The Hollywood Reporter, The Times, New York Magazine, and so on. In June, The Hollywood Reporter won 11 first-place prizes at the LA's Press Club's Journalism Awards, which is the most for any publication. People magazine has firsthand revealed exclusive news about Meghan and Harry since the start of their relationship. They've posted new Archwell updates, and we're the ones who disclosed where Meghan and Harry were staying after leaving the royal family, something the two liars pinned on the Daily Mail, who isn't as vanilla when it comes to writing about celebrities. So when a source is referenced in the media, understand this. The source is either the celebrity, their publicist who is speaking on their behalf, a crew member, or a real source, whether that is someone on the scene, a friend of the celebrities, an industry executive, or a bystander who witnessed something happen.
Our reporter talked to, I think, 12 people. Most of them are people who have worked very closely with the couple in various capacities.
I have run a media blog for over 10 years. Check it out at scandalous.media. I have spoken to the media myself. I have friends in the media. I have spoken to big-time editors in the mainstream media who confirm celebrities staging pap walks and knowing when to show up, and I firsthand know that the media won't publish hearsay. I have said it for a decade now. A source may lie or skew the truth, but the source connection is real. And I've said this when talking about a popular celebrity breakup where both sides had friends pointing the finger at the other in the media. Kinda like how Megs brought her friends to do a whole tell-all for People magazine. There are times when a magazine will try to do a whole cover story based on something overheard on a red carpet, like Hollywood Life, Star Magazine, or random sites like that. They aren't as reputable, and when they post something, it can be written off as hearsay. If the media deliberately publishes something that's a lie or something that isn't fact-checked, then they can get sued for defamation. And Meghan isn't scared of suing, as we can tell. So what does this tell us when the likes of Tom Bauer, Valentine Lowe, the Daily Mail, or in the case of the Hollywood Reporter and the DailyBeast, reveal insider tea and Meghan doesn't sue? That it's true. And listen, defamation has multiple boxes that need to be checked to be considered defamatory, and those boxes are, it's a lie, the source intended to lie, and the subject of the lie was damaged in some way, such as losing a job or money. I can argue that the media and the public's perception of Meghan have definitely cost her a lot of job opportunities because the media plays a role in how she's perceived. The issue is, what the media is saying isn't a lie, and therefore the perception of Meghan is based on facts like the stories of her bullying staff. I can go on for literally 10 more years, so if you want me to make a dedicated video explaining the media and how it's used as a weapon by celebrities or for propaganda or personal gain, then let me know. But for now, let's have a laugh and rejoice at the truth coming out from different angles as Meghan fails to contain it. The Hollywood Reporter restarts the war. Chaos reigned on the Sussex parade when The Hollywood Reporter posted an exclusive story exposing Meghan for bullying staff, which only gave credibility to the original story. The Hollywood Reporter's headline read, "Why Hollywood Keeps Quitting on Harry and Meghan," writing, "Looks like Harry and Meghan have done it again. They've chewed up yet another American advisor." That's because Josh Kettler, who was serving as chief of staff to Harry and Meghan, resigned in August after only 3 months on the job, making him the latest member of the Sussex Survivors Club, a club that only keeps expanding as Meghan continues to hold any sort of position of power. The Hollywood Reporter spoke to a source close to Harry and Meghan who said, Everyone's terrified of Meghan. She belittles people, she doesn't take advice, they're both poor decision makers, they change their minds frequently. Harry is a very, very charming person, no airs at all, but he's very much an enabler, and she's just terrible. Another source said, "She's absolutely relentless. She marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. I've watched her reduce grown men to tears."
Our reporter talked to one very high-up source who said everyone is terrified of Meghan Markle.
Throwing shade, The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "Their unsparing portrait of her is in marked contrast with the kinder, gentler image Markle has been painting of herself." This hits the mark because Meghan likes to portray herself as this gentle, soft-spoken woman with much to offer the world because she finds herself so smart and special. However, her overly polished demeanor in front of the cameras comes across as insincere, especially with how intensely she tries to maintain this facade that makes her appear almost aggressive, unlike the kindness she seeks to project. We saw this in Colombia, where she plastered a fake stretched smile the entire trip in fear of the camera, catching her in her true form of being angry and controlling everyone around her, as we've seen multiple times. And the more you try hard to portray that you're not something, you end up proving that you are that very thing.
Meghan and Harry declined to comment for our story.
And that's exactly what happened with Meghan's hilarious rebuttal to the scandal. Meghan claims she's one of the most bullied people in the world. To combat the scandal, Meghan went to Us Weekly, which isn't taking that seriously as a credible source because they're known to often churn out puff pieces about celebrities. You won't get your breaking news from Us Weekly, but you'll get whatever a publicist wants you to know, and that's exactly what happened here. Right after the Us Weekly article, the damage control began with Meghan's appearance at the LA Gala being photographed with children and attendees attesting to her behavior, which I'll discuss later. Shortly after that, she partnered up with Oprah and Melinda French Gates to back the digital wellness initiative for young girls, where she honored International Day of the Girl by chatting to young girls about their experience growing up in the digital age.
What the heck does that mean?
Like with Colombia, Meghan didn't do much besides talk to random children about the internet while snagging some photo ops for the internet. Again, this brings up her overt need to constantly use children for photo ops while shielding her children away and pointing the finger at the media for using her children or for impacting her children. Meanwhile, that's the behavior we always see from Meghan. Private moments of her alleged children shared on Netflix and everyone else's children being used as photo ops by her. Harry is also rambling about not being able to control his kids' mindless scrolling, as if that's somehow the media's fault as opposed to his parenting.
This is one of the problems that I have. I mean, we're both dads. We're both dads.
From my standpoint as a mother,
this is one of the problems that I have.
That's right.
Mindless scrolling.
Here's another one that needs an entire dedicated video, so let me know if you're interested in that.
To keep them online for longer, and some of that content ends up suggesting suicide.
What the hell are you talking about?
But the damage control continued when Meghan told people and children at the event that she is one of the most bullied people in the world.
Oh my God.
Now that's rich coming from her. I guess holding someone accountable for their demeaning actions translates to Meghan as bullying. It's like the boy who cried wolf over and over again. One thing Meghan never fails to do is project onto others. I'm bullying someone? No. In fact, I'm being bullied. I made Catherine cry? No. In fact, she made me cry. I made Harry leave his family behind? No. In fact, he always wanted to do that. The problem lies with everyone else but her, which shows typical narcissistic traits of playing the victim to get what she wants, blaming others for issues or confusing who is at fault, seeking sympathy from others, and trying to stay in control of the situation.
Duchess Difficult is a nickname that's trailed Meghan Markle for quite a few years. What is new is this notion that coming to America, that a lot of those rumors were manufactured by the palace.
There's a hierarchy of the family. Yeah, there's leaking, but there's also planting of stories.
That probably isn't true. There is this still undercurrent of fear.
Now, these photos of the events were taken on October 2nd, but released on October 11th strategically to coincide with International Day of the Girl, but people also pointed out that it was released the same day Catherine joined Prince William for their first public engagement since she finished chemotherapy. We know that these dates aren't a coincidence, as I discussed in my last video about their embarrassing moments where they continuously release things the same day as Catherine makes an announcement. But it was also another opportunity for Meghan to talk about herself, as Vanity Fair writes that took part by sharing their own experiences. For once in her life, Meghan wore an appropriate outfit in white pants and a blue top, but it's off-putting that once she's in the States for events, she shows up in appropriate clothing around children, but when she's overseas in Nigeria and Colombia, she wears the most inappropriate outfits at school events. It's one thing to be dressed like this at a gala in LA, and it's another when you're prancing around in backless or high-slit dresses overseas. Nonetheless, this is another event where Meghan is doing nothing besides showing face, saying a few sentences, and victimizing herself. But nothing has been more downright laughable than the person she tried to portray herself as in the Us Weekly rebuttal. Meghan's rebuttal and damage control. Everyone else is the problem. Us Weekly published an article on September 24th titled, "What It's Really Like to Work for Meghan Markle. Staffers Reveal Truth Behind Rumors, Exclusive." They wrote that a staffer said, "The allegations made in the article are widely inaccurate and damaging to both the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and members of their team." Sounds like how a publicist or lawyer would respond, not an employee. Keep in mind that these people were contacted to speak in defense of Meghan and Harry, kinda like with Meghan's friends in People magazine. Notice the repetition and patterns that prove certain narratives wrong. Us Weekly wrote, "Current and former staffers quickly flooded the comments with statements of support. Best bosses I have ever had," one current team member wrote, while an ex-staffer added that their time with the Sussexes was truly an honor. Talk about overdoing it. Ben Browning, their former head of content who left after the release of their Netflix soap opera when his contract expired, said that his experience at the company and with Meghan and Harry in general was positive and supportive, and we all continue to be friends. The narratives we've seen suggesting the contrary are untrue. Former Chief of Staff Catherine St. Laurent told Us Weekly that she remained close to them after stepping down, and that "the time I spent working with Prince Harry and Meghan was incredibly meaningful to me." Josh Kettler, who was Harry's Chief of Staff for 3 months only, said that he was warmly welcomed by both Harry and Meghan and that they are dedicated and hardworking. It was impressive to witness. Now, what is a reoccurring theme you notice here? We have one person who was the head of content and 2 others who were chiefs of staff. These are bosses under the bosses. This isn't the same as someone who's working as a social media director or intern or a personal assistant. Therefore, what a chief of staff would experience would surely be different than what a personal assistant would experience, such as the one who was bullied in the palace by Meghan. You simply cannot compare the two. On top of that, these are people who are professionals and who have worked for reputable people in the past before working for the clown show that is Harry and Meghan. And they aren't going to damage their careers and reputations by bad-mouthing anyone in Hollywood. Meghan and Harry learned that the hard way. Talking shit about the royal family in the media didn't get them the respect and praise they thought they'd get. I know for a fact that because of their history working for other high-profile people, working with Harry and Meghan is a modern-day clown show, which is why a lot of people left. It's not just the bullying that is the cause of them having a high turnover of staff, but it's also dealing with incompetence, which was highlighted by The Hollywood Reporter. Harry is now getting clowned for giving speeches about protecting the youth from harmful effects of social media, when one could ask him if he has any advice on how the royal family could be protected from the harmful effects of people harassing them in, say, books, Netflix soap operas, podcasts, interviews.
As the digital landscape has evolved, we've seen rising polarization.
His alarming baldness, more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time.
Social unrest.
Where am I looking? Wow. He's just got a text. Yeah, he's just got a text from his brother.
And a disconnect that often manifests itself in violence and fear.
Sibling rivalry.
Personal social connections have fallen secondary to alternative digital realities.
He grabbed me by the collar, ripping my necklace, and he knocked me to the floor. I landed on the dog's bowl, which cracked under my back.
Girl, get up!
These platforms are designed to create addiction.
Gripping each other's hand. The moment the lights go down, Meghan starts crying.
Being force-fed content.
When someone who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight or is doing the job better than the person who was born to do this.
It's not free will.
You know who you are, both.
Ashley Hansen, their global press secretary and head of communications for Archewell, said Harry and Meghan couldn't have been more supportive when she had to take some extended time off for a serious surgery. I'm sorry, but the praise here is that they didn't fire her or huff and scuff when asked for time off for surgery? Not only is that the law in most states, but it's the bare minimum. But the fluff continues. Ashley Hansen said, "When I told them, I was met with the kind of concern and care a parent would express if it were their own child." Did Meghan write this? "I was asked what I needed, how and if they could help, and told to take as much time as I needed." I would hope so. If you're telling your boss you need time off for a surgery and they tell you to go yourself, then Houston, we got a bigger problem on our hands. But the theatrics continued with Ashley Hansen saying that Harry and Meghan sent flowers and care packages, but most profoundly to me, Meghan would personally reach out to my husband daily to make sure that we were both okay and had support. It meant so much to him and even more to me. You don't realize how much that kind of kindness and thought means until you need it. Listen, if this really happened, then that's great. I just have a hard time believing that Ashley Hansen, whose job is to make Harry and Meghan look good, didn't read off a letter written in Meghan's elegant wannabe princess handwriting and carefully using words that are the opposite of what Meghan has been described as. I feel like she's being used by Meghan as a mouthpiece, kind of like how everyone on Netflix was used. And to take it a step further, she was used to hit back at the turnover rate that Harry and Meghan have been suffering, blaming it on Archewell being a young company and saying, two things can be equally true. You can be a great leader and still have turnover. No boss or company is immune to that. Which is true. Had the boss in question not been a Hollywood actress known to be a diva that was bullying assistants out of their jobs, and again, head of or chief of doesn't compare to someone who was an assistant, and it speaks volumes if you treat people differently based on their job title, which seems to be the case now if this BS is true. And if so, then that's just worse than Meghan bullying anyone and everyone in her way. Ashley Hansen maintains Meghan and Harry have no hard feelings toward anyone who's left. They want people to grow and to have opportunity, whether that's within or eventually outside of the company. But how would you know that, Ashley, unless it's Meghan and Harry who have told you to tell us how they feel? Us Weekly cites an anonymous source who's probably Meghan in a wig, saying, "People leave at any company, they get new opportunities, change their careers, or feel the role isn't the right fit. They also sometimes get let go. Those decisions are part of doing business." Again, true, but the companies they're leaving don't often have an HR complaint against them, and when they do, that often corresponds with the staff turnover rate, kind of like the downfall of Ellen DeGeneres. The same anonymous source, aka Meghan and Wig, claimed that colleagues are dumbfounded by the claims and that this is all coming from someone who's disgruntled, which is typical Meghan. It's the everyone else is the problem and not me behavior that is always reported with her. But at this point, they're trying so hard to disprove the stories by doing too much, which comes off as over-explaining and ultimately fake. Meghan's rebuttal, overdoing the kindness act and dramatically failing. The anonymous source is like, "This is the first company I've worked where I liked every person. Harry and Meghan picked the best of the best from every field and watered the seeds for them to flourish. We have an enormous microscope on us, but good things are happening." Yeah, I'm sure Harry and Meghan, who can't seem to tell their right foot from their left, somehow managed to not only pick the best out of every alleged field, but are also self-improvement gurus. Wow, is there anything they can't do? Notice the overly poetic praise of, "They watered the seeds for them to flourish." This is giving Meghan reading her wedding vows to Harry in her fancy script. Enormous microscope on them is a good one because last I checked, the French magazine who looked into Archewell didn't find anyone in their supposed offices. Most people can't even tell you what Archewell does nor who works there, but we're supposed to believe that they're under a heavy set of eyes? Yeah, probably Meghan's. Another staffer is like, "Harry and Meghan are showing up to meetings in baseball hats and t-shirts." Wow. You don't say. Baseball hats and t-shirts? How can anyone bully anyone in a baseball hat and t-shirt? Harry is said to casually chat with staffers in the first 5 or 10 minutes, spent on asking, "How was your weekend?" or "How's the construction at your house?" You mean small talk? Anyone who works in corporate, and specifically corporate America, knows that small talk not only runs the workforce, but is regular human nature. My professors used to do that before starting a meeting on Zoom. Any work meeting takes a few minutes to small talk before transitioning into what the purpose of the meeting is. I'm sorry, but it's actually mind-boggling that they find that this piece of information is somewhat relevant to include. But here's my favorite one. One current employee told Us Weekly they want to take care of us. Meghan will do things like, "You mentioned on your call your skin is bothering you. I put together a kit for you." And during team visits to the couple's Montecito home, no one departs empty-handed. Whenever staff goes to their house, they leave with a basket of fresh flowers, fresh fruit, and fresh eggs, the staffer says. Question: is this before or after her 1 hour per week at work? Am I the only one who seems to remember that both Harry and Meghan worked 1 hour per week in their last tax docs? So in between custom skincare kits and egg baskets, how much time do they clock in for work? 12 minutes? Us Weekly wrote, Meghan's known for giving credit where it's due.
Wait.
Known for that among who? Oh right, another source claiming that Meghan is just the sweetest little peach. I'm convinced that these are all fake quotes because check out what this one former employee said. If you're in a meeting and a great idea is referenced, she makes sure to give props to the person who generated the idea. After a big trip, every employee gets a personal email thanking them for their contribution in making it a success.
I don't believe a word you're saying.
Even if this quote is real, this again shows the bare minimum. Firstly, I don't think she gives credit where credit is due because she's known to plagiarize essays, speeches, ideas, stories, whatever it is, you name it. I mean, if she really gives credit, then she should start citing her sources. Secondly, sending an email or even giving props to a person who came up with the idea is once again the bare minimum, especially if you're trying to build a company based on being nice and social media and whatever the hell Archewell does. And even if she did all this, this still doesn't disprove the behavior that has been reported.
There were reports of staff in tears. The Duchess's most senior advisor, he wrote an official email saying that she had been bullying people.
Who said everyone is terrified of Meghan Markle.
You're allowed to set a boundary, you're allowed to be clear,
Yep.
It does not make you demanding, it does not make you difficult.
I was shocked by what I heard. I mean, I knew that she was difficult. I didn't know how difficult, I didn't know how bad it was, but I was absolutely shocked by what I heard.
She's around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. I've watched her reduce grown men to tears.
People said things like, I feel sick. Things like, I'm shaking, it's ridiculous.
Meghan's using this article the way she used the Archetypes podcast, as a rebuttal, a defense, an explanation that fails to disprove anything. Meghan, who has been blasted for her rude, inconsiderate behavior, is now described by this former employee as compassionate and understanding, who said that they have never heard her yell because she gives clear directions and is solution-oriented. At this point, they're trying too hard. The more you read, the more you start rolling your eyes at the obvious fluff. The fact that Meghan is being praised for being compassionate for telling someone happy birthday or for not drop-kicking someone in their face when they take off for surgery is pathetic. But it's safe to say that the palace complaints against her live rent-free in her head because she took this chance to hit back at the stories of her sending demanding emails at 5 a.m. where Us Weekly writes that Meghan's official email signature reads, "My working day may not be your working day. Please do not feel obliged to reply to this email outside your normal working hours."
Oh, Muffin, it's so hard being you.
Everyone say it with me. Thank you, Jason Knopf. This is what I mean by holding celebrities accountable. Because her behavior was reported to HR, she now knows that that was unacceptable and no one is going to adapt to her demands outside of working hours, and she's scared that that behavior gets reported yet again. So if anything, this proves the stories that she was indeed sending demanding emails at 5 a.m. to be a pain and as a power move. Speaking of power, Meghan is desperate to make herself look powerful and as someone backed up by a team who cares about her because she's allegedly so nice. Us Weekly lists a staffer saying, "We're here for a reason. If you come for our boss, you're coming for us."
Is that so?
I'm sorry, but I can't. This is not a 5th grade playground. What does that even mean? And if I'm coming for Clown 1 and Clown 2, what are you gonna do about it? Their only argument is, but they give us our sick days. Yeah, it's called PSL, aka paid sick leave. There's also PTO, paid time off, aka vacation days, which depending on your state is a legal right. The last thing these two bozos need to be dealing with is a lawsuit against them for violating employee rights. I mean, did Meghan not have anyone fact check this article and be like, that's what you have to do. It's not called being compassionate, it's called following the law. The article ends with Mandana Dayani, who was the president of Archewell for 18 months in 2021 and 2022, citing profound injustice as the reason she's speaking in defense of Harry and Meghan. Pretty sure I can list 200 actual examples of profound injustice, but okay. Mandana recalls a story where she was on the floor in their kitchen because Meghan and Harry are so casual and chill, unlike the big bad royals, and Meghan, the amazing mother who's never seen with her kids, was feeding Princess Lily and cold calling a dozen senators asking them to advocate for paid leave.
Sure, Jan.
They came over for dinner. I remember I was in ripped jeans and I was barefoot.
Now I would hope that Meghan and Harry's employees are getting paid leave, because if she's calling senators about paid leave but is not doing what she preaches, like how she and Harry cry about climate change but use private jets whenever they can use them, then that's a scandal waiting to happen, and the last thing her and Harry need is more evidence against them. But I find it funny that she mentions calling senators, because when Meghan cold called Senator Susan Collins of Maine, Senator Collins said, much to my surprise, she called me on my private line and she introduced herself as the Duchess of Sussex, which is kind of ironic. I was happy to talk with her, but I'm more interested in what the people of Maine are telling me about it. Mind you, this happened at a time when Meghan and Harry were claiming that they didn't care about titles, and at a time when the Queen was still alive, when it was known that she didn't want them to use their titles, especially for personal gain. Yet Meghan called the senator from a blocked number and said, "This is Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex." Who? This caused a different problem as to why a former working member of the British royal family is meddling in US politics, meanwhile her only American credentials is actress on Lawyer TV show? Notice how Mandana's quote portrays Meghan in the light that Meghan wants to desperately be seen in? Just a casual fun American who's a mom.
A mother.
Who loves being barefoot in her jeans.
Ripped jeans and I was barefoot.
She makes sure to mention that Meghan was feeding Princess Lily to hit back at the claims that Meghan is an absent mother who's always jetting off without her kids, and saying she's calling senators to portray this idea of an American mom who is spread thin in between her kids and working overtime to help others. Funny enough, Mandana was quick to leave Archewell right before the Netflix show got released, which prompted them to refer to her as friend instead of COO of Archewell, who quit shortly before. She's trying to give this idea that she's super close to Meghan and appreciates the memories of weekly meetings where Meghan was not only working American mom calling senators, but also brunch host putting together skincare kits and making flower, fruit, and egg baskets. Stay tuned to the end where I talk about Meghan always mentioning these alleged friends she doesn't seem to have. But I don't know what's more pathetic, the fact that Meghan orchestrated this whole rebuttal with ultra-specific stories to hit back at every word she's been called, or the fact that these stories where she's overly nice just show how fake she really is. It's okay to be a boss who's not meeting the emotional needs of your employees because you're the boss, not their best friend. And yet she's so out of touch with what a normal and productive functioning boss or human would be like, and that's why we have to sit through uncomfortable stories that sound like they got rejected for a children's play or the PBS Kids network. And even worse, the only people who she could get to defend her character were those who were bosses within the company themselves. The Daily Beast was quick to hit back at this puff piece. The Daily Beast destroys Meghan. The Daily Beast published an article the following day with the headline, "Meghan Markle is just the best boss ever. Staff on her payroll insist." Now I love how much they trolled her in this article because it truly is laughable, especially when sources close to Harry and Meghan spoke to the Daily Beast after the Hollywood Reporter's story and told them that the story was a fabrication. But everyone knows that it's too late and Meghan is trying to save face. Tom Sykes for the Daily Beast wrote, "Meghan Markle gives her staff gifts including dog leashes and skincare products and is such a good boss that she makes them feel like seeds being watered or much-loved children." He called the Us Weekly rebuttal a bizarre intervention consisting of a carefully curated selection of former and current staffers recruited to heap praise on the clowns. and everyone cited seemed like they were motivated by self-interest rather than acting in an honorable way. About Ashley Hansen's glorious story praising Harry and Meghan, Tom wrote, "True as this may be, as global head of press, Hansen's actual job is to make the couple look good in the media." He points out that this whole wholesome kindness act, like putting together a skincare kit, would probably come as a shock to Jason Knopf, who was Meghan's press secretary when she was a royal. The past repeats itself. In 2018, Jason Knopf wrote a letter to Simon Case, then Prince William's private secretary, saying, "I'm very concerned that the Duchess was able to bully 2 PAs out of the household in the past year. The treatment of X was totally unacceptable. The Duchess seems intent on having someone in her sights. She is bullying Y and seeking to undermine her confidence. We have had report after report from people who have witnessed unacceptable behavior towards Y." At the time, Meghan denied this bullying and shifted the blame by accusing the Times of London of perpetuating a smear campaign on her because the revelations were published just days before the Oprah interview, where Meghan was gearing up to play victim. But it's not a smear campaign if it's true. There is proof to this because she got reported in 2018 and the Oprah interview was in 2021. Author Valentine Lowe exposed in his book Courtiers that an unnamed former staffer said, "You cannot escape them. There were no lines or boundaries. It was last thing at night, first thing in the morning. Every 10 minutes I had to go outside to be screamed at by her and Harry. It was, 'I can't believe you've done this, you've let me down, what were you thinking?' It went on for a couple of hours." Keep watching because I'm going to discuss Harry's behavior in this old clip that I found. But after this, Buckingham Palace then hired a third-party firm to investigate the bullying, but its findings were kept private. And after all that has been exposed, I believe that the late Queen did that once again to protect Harry and Meghan, the same people who have caused agony to everyone around them while whining about how they have not been protected. What was it that Meghan said was done to her?
That I wasn't just being thrown to the wolves, I was being fed to the wolves.
That is not true at all.
Meghan branded as demon boss. I guess actual staffers didn't take it well when Us Weekly released the puff piece about how angelic and saintly Meghan was. The DailyBeast then published an exclusive article shortly afterward, citing sources who worked for Meghan saying that she's a demon who had psycho moments. Now this is insane because for a mainstream media outlet to publish such a harsh report that could be argued is defamatory means that they have hardcore sources to back this up, and the article is still up and Meghan didn't sue anyone, so that is just more proof.
Harry and Meghan's lawyers, Shillings, are very aggressive and they will come after any newspaper that they feel has wronged them, and they've had victories. But the Times was prepared for this. We spent a long time making sure that all the allegations that we were going to put into the newspaper were absolutely correct, were checked, were double-checked, and we were entirely confident about what our sources were saying and why they were saying it.
Now, a former courtier who worked for Meghan and Harry at the palace told the Daily Beast that difficult royals are not uncommon. They cited examples like Princess Margaret, who reportedly used people's hands as ashtrays, and Prince Andrew, who was unbelievable to staff, amongst everything else that he's been exposed for. The source partly defended Meghan, suggesting her bad moments were blown out of proportion, but that said, there definitely were bad, very bad, even psycho moments. I witnessed people being chewed up in person and over the phone and made to feel like shit, the source said. There is no excuse for that type of behavior, and yet you can't blame the source for being biased as they continued to defend Meghan, stating, "But it was an incredibly fraught time, and I'm inclined to give her the benefit of the doubt. She has said it herself, she was at times." Another person who worked with Meghan before her wedding told the Daily Beast, "I always thought she was a classic narcissist, and getting her staff to tell a magazine how amazing she is only confirms that in my mind. She is lovely when it is all going her way, but a demon when the worm turns." Notice how it seems like Meghan was all nice to people who were, 1, on her payroll, and 2, were holding chief executive positions at Archewell. Another source told the Daily Beast a story of a florist who was screamed at down the phone for half an hour after they posted an insignificant detail online about a bouquet that they were working on for Meghan without identifying that Meghan was the client. The source said they vowed never to work with her again, despite the prestige of having her as a client. If you were working for her, you were often treated like a tradesman who could be treated like shit. Sorry, but there are too many stories and sources corroborating each other. You'd have to be sedated to believe otherwise. Harry ditches Meghan. After the scandal erupted, Harry seemed to rebrand without Meghan, who, aside from him being negative in general with his uneducated takes and embarrassing speeches, something about Meghan not being there shed more light on the purpose of the event, instead of having Meghan pushing Harry away, stomping in front of cameras, and clawing her way onto everyone there. Harry first attended Kevin Costner's charity event without Meghan, who was pathetically there the year before trying to snatch the microphone out of this woman's hand. He then flew to New York to attend the Clinton Global Initiative event to promote the Parents Network, then he was in London for a short moment to attend the Well Child Awards, and then he jetted off to South Africa for a 4-day trip to witness his co-founded charity Sentabale's programs at work. It's a good thing Meghan wasn't there, because the last time they were with the chair of Sentabale, Dr. Sophie Shanduka, Meghan rudely pushed her to the side and refused to let her pose with Harry. Harry is also a problem. Harry was in New York with Jimmy Fallon, participating in a House of Horrors bit, which I felt ironically reflected his life. Funny how he's trying to rebrand as that cool, funny, casual Harry, but don't get it twisted. He's mentioned by the sources as either aiding into Meghan's bullying or being a bully himself. Remember this video where he spoke down to a reporter on a royal tour in 2019?
That's your conversation. What do you hope to achieve through it?
Oscar.
Is that why it's important for you to come here and talk?
That was so rude, arrogant, and belittling. The reporter asked a valid question, but no. Instead, he wanted blind praise. Oh, thank you, Mr. Duke, for sparing 8 seconds to spew nonsense, and then getting angry that how dare someone behave that way. What way? What did he want? Did he want her to bow down to him and thank him for gracing us with his uneducated takes? Or how about this moment where he literally knocked these two kids' heads together? It's just so weird. Nonetheless, it's moments like these from both Harry and Meghan that gives us an inside look at how they treat others. A source claimed that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have executed a professional separation after their projects as a couple have failed. Even People magazine cited a source saying that they're hitting their stride as individuals. Is this them soft launching the starts of their public separation? We already know that they have been having marriage issues with their strained dynamic and reports of Harry's permanent side hotel room. What do you guys think? Meghan's out of hiding. Meghan finally made a public appearance at the Children's Hospital Los Angeles Gala on October 5th, where she re-wore this red gown that she previously wore when she and Prince Harry attended the Salute to Freedom Gala honoring veterans in 2021. She looked awkward and out of place as she held on to Kelly McKee-Zyfen's hand, whom Meghan met through her ex-husband Trevor Engelson. Her entire behavior was very erratic as she looked taken off guard several times and was photographed standing very oddly and weirdly. Not to mention that the dress sure was a choice. I don't know how she does it, but with everything she wears, she somehow manages to make it look frumpy and as if she just finished clubbing for 8 hours and then attended a gala. The whole look is all over the place. She posed with the hospital's CEO, Paul Viviano, and was interviewed saying the usual Meghan sentence of, "This organization's incredible," and "as a mother."
Oh my goodness, the work that they do at Children's Hospital LA is otherworldly, and I think from my standpoint as a mother...
She then started rambling about how she has close friends who go to this hospital with their kids who are going through treatments.
And I have close friends who still have their children there going through treatments, either from high school, close mom friends now that are having their children really have that experience, but the staff is incredible.
And who are these close school friends she speaks of? Why weren't any of these school friends at her wedding? Why was it only A-listers who only came because it was Princess Diana's son and not because he was marrying some random named Meghan Markle? Remember my last video where I said that Meghan likes to validate herself by saying that she possesses some sort of quality that gives her a special reason to be here? In Nigeria, it's because she was apparently 43% Nigerian.
What are you? 43% Nigerian.
No way!
My country.
At the UN Women's Speech, it's because she participated in a class project at the age of 11. As a working royal, it's because she's a mixed-race woman and therefore everything she does is right and everyone else should change for her. In Colombia, it's because the VP was a fangirl and Meghan apparently spoke Spanish. And now, she has friends who go to this hospital. She always has to make up some sort of story that personalizes her experience of the event, and I find that very odd and fake. She could just say she appreciates the cause, but no, it's always something extra with her. People magazine wrote that she was later escorted out of the event by a side door by a staff member after chatting to more guests as she made her exit. This made people think that she wasn't invited inside the event, but she was spotted for a short moment before leaving because I don't think anyone wanted her there. People magazine tried to make Meghan look good post-bullying scandal by writing that she sat with the CEO and that one attendee said Meghan was so approachable and accessible, calling it refreshing. But we all know that, like the Us Weekly article, these extra try-hard sources trying to fix Meghan's karma isn't working. Meghan's former reporter friend, Lizzie Cundy, who was also at the gala, said, "There wasn't a great deal of warmth from people when she arrived. She wasn't there long, she seemed to be there for the photographs." And shortly afterward, Meghan was quick to use the photo ops on her website. Lizzie Cundy, who first exposed that Meghan asked her to hook her up with famous British men, then ghosted her after meeting Harry, said, "Meghan needs LA more than LA needs her. LA people feel they've been played by her. I'd have worn a different one if I'd known." She's referencing how she accidentally twinned with Meghan, both wearing red dresses. Talk about awkwardness. That's the thing about treating people badly on your way to the top. You are going to meet them on your way down. And it's hard to feel pity or sympathy for Meghan because she is getting what has always been coming for her. She accused the media of harassing her all these years, meanwhile she was doing the harassing to others behind closed doors. She claimed the palace didn't protect her, meanwhile everything exploding in her face now shows that the palace did exactly that back in the day. Everything she accuses someone of doing to her, she's actually doing to someone else. Her need for revenge and control is ruining her. As Confucius said, before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. She was out to get everyone who didn't bow down to her, and as a result, she ended up only exposing herself. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to check out Aura using my 2-week free trial link to get your personal information protected now. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, like and subscribe for more videos every week, and as always, I'll see you next time.